What's going on, guys? It's Maddie from DCLblogger.com, and in this video I wanted to compare and do a bit of a breakdown and do a bit of an analysis on two games or projects out there in the crypto world that are kind of pioneering the way to building a 3D world. Okay, they're not exactly the same, but they have some similarities and some crossovers, and I wanted to go through which seem to be an interesting investment, or not so much a better investment because they both are kind of different, but just what demand more attention. Okay, now these two games, one is going to be NeoLand and the other one is going to be Decentraland. Now you're probably familiar with Decentraland because that's been out for over a year and there's been a land auction that's got a lot of coverage. And I personally am a really big investor in Decentraland. They're trying to be a virtual reality world platform. We can build experiences in virtual reality and monetize that content, get people to explore this world and try out your roller coaster, try out your bowling alley or any other project that you've created in Decentraland. Whereas NeoLand seemed to be more of a game kind of thing, where it's a sandbox project where you can be an in-game character and work and earn an in-game currency for participating in tasks, building a business, buying and selling thing, and doing more game-oriented activities. More kind of like RuneScape. I used to play that a lot. I kind of see NeoLand similar to that. But before I get into the technical details of how the games actually work, let's kind of look at the connections that both games have, because I want to really dive deep into the strength of the community, especially with NFT projects. It's really important that there needs to be a strong community that is going to support the project in terms of gameplay after the initial hype or buzz of the initial auction stage or whatever, the pre-sale. There's a lot of hype over that and a lot of people jump in because there's a limited amount of land out there and people like to buy that. But after that, what is the in-game utility? After the auction finishes, do people want this? Because it all depends on new players coming to the scene and being attracted to the game. Anyway, so NeoLand is a project that has been out for a while, and it has been predominantly focused on getting Chinese players or the Chinese community more on board first, and it really hasn't been marketed to the West yet. The first time I really saw it was it being tweeted out by the official Neo Twitter with 315,000 followers. And it says that as a collaboration between Neo and NeoWorld. So I think Neo is an official, I guess, promoter, maybe a partner of NeoLand, and is kind of promoting NeoLand itself. So that's a pretty strong point over there. I'll try to look deep into the community, and I've looked at the Telegram group, which seems to be the most active, at least Western medium to talk to. By the way, guys, I've kind of made a Discord that I think would be really beneficial for anyone that wants to trade NFTs. It's called NFT Moneymakers. I'm going to put the link in the description. We've talked all about Neo World and investment strategies, about Decentraland, Gods Unchained, and anything NFT related. I'm all about making money buying and selling NFTs. And if you follow my work with Decentraland, I've already made a lot of money. At least in Ethereum value, I've made more than 500 Ethereum, literally buying and selling Decentraland land parcels. So I really want to find and go into different marketplaces in the NFT world and explore these avenues more, because this is a way that you can make money instead of just holding your crypto coins, right? So I'm really interested in that concept. So if you want to join and you want to participate, jump into this chat. And yeah, that's just a short little detour. But anyway, let's go back into Neo World. So this is the Neo World Telegram group, okay? 468 members. And I noticed when I first joined, most of the people that were talking, first of all, there wasn't that many of them, and 468 members isn't that big, but apparently there's 15,000 daily active users of NeoLand. Okay, the people that play this game, they seem to be mostly Chinese players, but apparently, according to the admin, there's 15,000 DAUs, which is daily active users. It's a pretty big deal, right? Now, there's a lot of questions that were asked here that I think that are really important to kind of explore. So how it kind of works is Nash seems to be the in-game token that's going to be used to, I guess, transact and make money, or kind of the wealth that you're going to be getting is going to be a token made by the New World community called Nash. Now, Nash is built on the Ethereum blockchain. It was a little bit confusing because it's an ERC20 token, and I thought that NeoWorld is going to really utilize Neo blockchain in terms of building it out, right? So it was really confusing for me that the ERC20 token, sorry, the in-game currency Nash is actually built on the ERC Ethereum token. So apparently NeoWorld launched 6 months ago, mainly for Chinese players. Global marketing has started, and English version is on the way. Okay, so English version is on the way at the moment. That's why kind of doing research into this project has been really hard for me, because there hasn't really been much information. I had to really dig deep into find what's going on. So guys, I looked into the other community challenge because it is a Chinese community. They predominantly hang out in WeChat and QQ, which is an app, I think. So I downloaded both of them and I got the admin to admin both of them. And it seems like the WeChat has about 500 members plus, and QQ has about 1,200 members, and they're a lot more active over there and a lot more Chinese members that talk about the game, etc. So for me, that was more validation that at least the game has a community that is strong enough to communicate. And I think the admin said there's about 100 messages every day that happen in QQ. So that kind of shows that there is some form of activity. Now, what's happening at the moment with NeoWorld is there's an auction going on. Okay, so it's a bit confusing how the map looks like, because the Decentraland. Okay, before I actually get onto that, let's kind of look at the gameplay. Now, like I said before, this NeoWorld is more of like you're an avatar, or you seem to be like a a person that's exploring this new world, and you can build all these kinds of stuff. You can earn money, you can have a job, and it's more a game kind of experience, right? And it seems like, and especially if you watch the YouTube video, so it seems like it kind of simulates the real world. And as an investor or a game player, like you want to be rich or whatever you want to be in the game, you want to build and sell cars or like whatever you want to do, you can do that, and you'll have to collaborate with other people like you have to do in the real world to make this happen. So it's more like a game, it seems, as such. Now, Decentraland is more a virtual, like a platform where you can buy certain lands in this big map. Okay, so this big map has about 45,000 or so small pixels that can either be bought and built on. So all these purple areas are projects that are currently happening. So this is called the Crypto Valley District. This one is called the Battleground District, which is this big. This red one here is my property. Anything in red is mine. Light blue means it's for sale. Gray means it's not for sale, but it's owned by someone. So pretty much everything is owned by someone. The big green plazas are Decentraland owned places where they're going to be having hosting events and all that kind of stuff, hosting games, etc., etc. Now each little pixel is 10 by 10 meters in length and width. Okay, so if you were to buy any of these pixels of land, now for example, these lands have different value because these squiggly lines are basically roads. So lands connected to these roads are worth more than lands not connected to roads. For example, this one over here is listed for what? Okay, 9 million mana. This one's listed for 780,000 mana. This one is listed for 300,000 mana. But the ones that aren't connected to a road are a little bit cheaper. As you can see, that one's a bit cheaper. This one's 100,000. This one's more further away from the center. That's 30,000. They get cheaper and cheaper the further out you go. Okay, further out to the map that you go. Now, when you own one of these 10 by 10 meter lands, you can build whatever you want on it within virtual reality. Now, DCL Plaza does a really good job to kind of collect people's current builds, like what they are building off chain. Like this hasn't been imported onto Decentraland. The world has not officially opened. People can build what they want using the SDK kit provided by Decentraland, and eventually they can import these into the world when they're ready to do though. When the world is open, you can see people have built all kinds of stuff. Some people have built mansions. Decentraland bowling, you can play like a multiplayer bowling game. This guy's got a techno house club. Fashion Street District, this is what it looks like at the moment. Other things, this is one of the Decentraland plazas that is built. This guy's got, people are building all kinds of things in Decentraland, whether they're districts or private landowners. etc., etc. There are things kind of being built now. Decentraland have partnerships with like 8 or 10 games. Ethereum is one of them. Crypto Cars is another one of them. There's a couple of games that are going to be announced that we have big hopes for, that Animoca brands are going to be releasing. There's about 10 or so games that are coming here by big game developers, right? Or at least big game developers in the crypto scene. So you can see people are building all kinds of stuff on their land at the moment. And these lands are kind of, you can view these in virtual reality. So it's a little bit different because some people have, games, some people have educational experiences, some people are probably going to build classes where they can explain how maybe a car works. Some people might build like online shops where you can buy and sell 3D models, or you can kind of display 3D models of your real life products, etc., in this Decentraland virtual reality world. Whereas in NeoLand, it seems, like I said before, it seems to be mostly game oriented. Okay, so it's a little bit different. Now I'm kind of let's go through the first page of Neo World, some of the important questions and what this is kind of about. So yeah, you can build and operate. Land parcels are fundamental to the Neo World. Players can construct buildings on the land to increase the value of their land and garner attention from the virtual world. Over time, as the land prosper, more constructions like tourist attractions or miracles can be built to further enhance the value of the land. Collect and work, collaborate and promote self-governance, avatar and transport. Now, the roadmap is interesting because look what it says over here, right? Now, NeoWorld will be introducing the Nash token, like I said before. Nash, I think it stands for NeoWorld Cash or Neo Cash, which is basically the in-game currency that's going to be used. That's going to be the first age, and Bronze Age is going to be using that. But check this out. In the Silver Age, NeoWorld will migrate partial functions, example, community voting, to the best fit public chain. Example, Neo, Zilliqa, or EOS. So they haven't really decided what public chain they're going to be going with. So it's interesting to me just to figure out, like, what is the relationship with Neo World has. If they don't use Neo, if they're not on the Neo blockchain, what are they really leveraging Neo for? Because they have their own in-game currency. If they're not even on the blockchain, on the Neo blockchain, then like, what is it got to do with the Neo blockchain? Like, it's a bit confusing to me on how that works, right? I'm sure it is for you guys as well. Also, guys, the SDK kit for Neo World hasn't been released yet, and I think I was told it'll be released in a year's time. Okay, so in terms of like custom building things and all that stuff, I don't think that exists at the moment. It's just building whatever's out there at the moment as a default thing. Now, Decentraland is a bit different. Their SDK kit is out and is consistently improved and added to, so people can build whatever they want. They're encouraging new game developers to join and build stuff on the Decentraland platform. Okay. So that's that. Now, an interesting thing as well for me was to see these statistics. Apparently 106,000 lands have been sold in Neo World. 7.5 million buildings constructed. 1.3 million jobs. 7.5 million buildings constructed. Either making buildings is really easy to do, or that number is fake. Like, it's a bit confusing as to how exactly this works in terms of that. I'm a big Neo supporter, guys. Neo was my first love. Like, it went up from $6 to $30, and it was like my first foray into the crypto world, which led me to, Moon literally within 3 weeks of my investment. And I was just like, ever since that, Neo has always had like a special place in my heart, because I love Neo. I love it. I've loved it from the start, and I've seen it grow. I've seen the Reddit grow from 10,000 to 93,000 members at the moment. So I'm a big Neo fan. So anything got to do with Neo or a virtual world, like, it has my attention. So I really want this to be a great game. So that's that, guys. Now, like the Decentraland, like the Decentraland map, where you can buy and sell little pixels. Each pixel is exactly the same length and exactly the same width. The parameters don't change. The only thing that does change is if you own multiple parcels in a row, your build height increases. So for example, if you have just one parcel, then your build height is 20 meters. If you have say 10 parcels, then there's a formula. I think it's like log to the base 2, and in brackets, I forgot the formula, but basically if you have like 10 parcels in a row, something like this is what, 9, your build height now increases to something like 50 to 60 meters. Okay, so your build height increases based on how many parcels you have joined together, and these are called estates. Okay, but in the NeoLand, so this is kind of the Neo World auction area where currently they're holding their auction, and it is interesting for me to see how much people are bidding on their land, because these are actually not that cheap. 5.1 Neo, 3 Neo, 4.1 Neo. Well, it's not that expensive, but like for me, thinking back when Neo was worth $200, I'm seeing these prices. For some reason, I can't disconnect the fact that Neo used to be worth $200 and Neo now is worth like $7 to $8. So although this is cheap in terms of fiat, it's still a lot of Neo, like relatively a lot of Neo. Like some of these passes, I think this one in the corner, 16 Neo, guys. That's a lot, right? 18, 15. So it seems like there's a value on these edges. These are coastlands. Each of these lands have different things that you can do. So this one has steel. That's the steel in that land. You can mine that steel. High tech. What else do you have? You have yeah, high tech. You got coastline. I think this one was coastline. You've got CBD. Whoa, 100, 105. It's pretty expensive, right? So CBD areas are pretty expensive. Lumber is pretty, is I think more expensive than steel. What's this one here? NRO. I have no idea what that means. But basically, these have different characteristics. Is this gold? Stone. Okay, so you got stone. It's kind of like Age of Empires. So this one is finishing soon, I believe. So finish soon. The timer is at 322 seconds. So 5 minutes. This auction will finish. The person will own that. Now this is about 900 lands that are currently available for this auction, and it's part of a bigger map. So it's a little bit confusing how the map works. This little bit here is currently what's being auctioned off. This is 900 lands, okay? Now NeoLand, which is this whole small project that these guys are promoting, is these 9 big countries, like I don't know what you'd call them, which all up are about 8,100 pieces of land. So this is just an auction for the first one. Now an auction will be there for this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, until all of these are sold. But look at this right now. What you just saw currently being auctioned, the ones with all the pixels out there, is just this little bit here, right? And that's part of this. But this is just that. So there's all these big things like Neo World Mainland 2, Neo World Mainland 3. These were all, I believe, auctioned off a long time ago. That's why it says there's 100,000 lands plus that have already been bought. It's a bit confusing to me. Is NeoLand the first one that's being promoted by Neo themselves? Is that the one that has the partnership only? Like, it's a little bit confusing to me how this works. For me, it's kind of interesting to see. I want to know the limits within these lands, like how much land is going to be available. That's a really interesting thing for me to know, because in Decentraland, it's pretty simple. It's just a big map with 45,000 small pixels that you can buy, and there's not going to be any more, or at least there's no plans for there to be any more in the current time. So anywhere you want to buy, you just buy it and you know exactly where you are on the map. But here it's a little bit confusing to me because there's just it's not clear how big the map is at the moment, right? Anyway, so that's that. We've gone through the community. The community for Decentraland, which I haven't done so far, is, if you look at Decentraland, okay, it is 8,600 members, or 8,300 members strong, I believe. If you were to just quickly just do this, basically you could just copy this, paste it here, and we can count the number of members. 8,300 members strong on Discord. Now Discord is probably the dominant discussion channel, and I believe QQ would have been, you know, NeoLand's most dominant channel, which is at 1,200. There's a lot of what's it called, member and momentum. There's a lot of momentum going on with Decentraland. There's a lot of big partnerships. There's a lot of people that you know, Barry Silbert from the DCG group have invested millions of dollars into Decentraland. The last land auction that we just had burnt 106 million mana, which is about $5 million US, which went into the last auction, which was spent within the period of about 1 or 2 weeks. Now, if you were to compare that kind of volume with NeoLand at the moment, which hasn't really done well in terms of marketing to the West, you know, we're still kind of new. NeoLand is still very new in terms of marketing itself to the West. If you look at some of the statistics, 6,600 Neo has been spent for the land in NeoLand so far. So that's a valuation of a value of 6,600 times what's it Neo at the moment? Let's just say $8. 8 times 6 is 48. So that's about 52,000 US dollars. Is that right? Yeah, 50,000 US dollars, say something like that. Still very, very small. Like Neo land is still ridiculously small. Could be a good thing because it's like it might allow us early investors to jump in and buy Neo land at really cheap prices, because at the end of the day, you know, 5 to 6 Neo is like $30-$40, right? It's not much at all compared to Decentraland, where the cheapest parcel is about 10,000 mana, which is about 500 US dollars. It's not cheap with Decentraland, but with Neo, it's actually pretty cheap, right? It's not too bad. 800 parcels are sold so far. There's about 100. So after that, there's about 900 in that whole Neo land. So once that's sold, then that auction for that world will finish, and there's going to be another auction for another part of Neo land. But it's interesting just to see the statistics and all that kind of stuff. Now, remember guys, the most important thing for me as a NFT trader is volume. Volume is key, will be key, no matter how awesome the game is at the start, no matter how much money it funds at the start. There has to be awesome volume going on. And you can see in the last 24 hours, 12 lands have been sold at 9,300 US dollars in total. That's just for Decentraland single parcels. If you look at the Decentraland estates, the last 24 hours, 7 estates. So an estate is a cluster of lands. 22,000 US dollars worth has been sold. So altogether, what's that, like 30,000, 32,000 US dollars worth of transaction volume in the last 24 hours alone. Last 7 days, 72,000 over there. If you check out estates, what are we, 134,000 US dollars. So in the last week, last 7 days, 200,000 US dollars in transactional volume. Okay, that's really good to know, because it makes, if you own land in Decentraland, that means that you can cash it out if you want to. Now that's a really important thing, because some of these crypto collectibles, for example, if you go to CryptoPunks, for example, how much, you know, like how much are these guys transacting in the last 24 hours? We can take a quick look, because if there's not much transactional volume and there's only like 1 or 2 people buying or selling, then how are you going to get your CryptoPunks out? So look at this. In the last 7 days, 10 ETH, so 1,200 US dollars, which isn't too bad. But if I really want to sell my CryptoPunk, it's going to be hard. It's not as easy as just listing it. Like there was none sold in the whole 24-hour period. Etherbots, I think this is kind of like a dead game. I don't think Etherbots are doing much. The last 24 hours, only 1 was sold. Last 7 days, 350 US dollars. Last 30 days, 5,000 US dollars. It's not too bad, but I don't know. For example, I've been part of NFT trading for a very long time, and the more volume you have, the more you can buy and sell and make money in between. So that's why it's really important for Neo World. I'm not going to be investing, or at least I don't think I'll be investing, unless I learn more about the project and more things solidify. But I need to see volume, so I don't mind missing the auction. And once someone makes a website where we can actually see the transactions going through, this is the cool thing about nonfungible.com, but you can see the transaction volume going through, right? So like these are the most recent sales that have been done 8 hours ago, 12 hours ago, 15 hours ago. You can see people are buying land. Like there's volume, there's activity going on. And this is what I want to see with Neo World past the auction period. So this is not part of the Decentraland auction. This is people buying and selling land that they currently own. So the auction finished ages ago. About a year ago, about 161 million mana was burnt in the auction, the first auction. And the second auction, now the 106 million mana was burnt. But there's been so much volume of buying and selling in between. Consistent volume, guys. It's been really, really good in terms of volume, right? So that's what I need to see for Neo World. So like I said, I don't mind waiting it out, waiting for there to be a community buying and selling, and from the hype of that then I might invest. So you can see here, guys, nonfungible.com do a really good job of just spitting out some statistics on a frequent basis, just to kind of order like top crypto games that are doing really well. The top one in terms of transactional volume and US dollars traded was Decentraland, 220,000 US dollars, which was actually down 58% from the last week. The next one was Hyper Dragons and CryptoKitties at a lot less than what Decentraland is. So Decentraland definitely is the master at US dollar transactional volume, probably because each Decentraland land is actually pretty big value. So even if you do about 10 to 20 of those sales per day, that's about 20,000 US dollars, or 10 to 20,000 US dollars per day. And in a week, that's almost 100,000 US dollars, right? There's a lot of volume just because of that. Now, I want to know where NeoWorld will fit into this once the auction finishes. Again, that's exactly what I need to see before I invest. So that's it, guys. I didn't really want to talk too much about the comparison because there hasn't really been an English client for NeoLand released that soon. But mind you, a lot of people have had some concerns in investing in both Decentraland and NeoWorld. It'll be interesting to see, or for you guys to do your own research from a critic's point of view for both of them. For example, with Decentraland, we have to wait till the client is even out yet. We can't even explore the world. We can do that in NeoWorld. In NeoWorld, a lot of people having issues that the money that they have dedicated to the auction, you actually can't take that back out till like the 19th of Jan. And that's a big issue. A lot of people have their money stuck in the NeoWorld auction because they can't take it out until the 19th of Jan. Then English client is releasing soon. I think it's the 9th of Jan actually. I'm not exactly sure on the date, but you should ask the admin. You have to do KYC if you want to do trading within NeoWorld because they're based in Singapore. There's all these kind of things that you will definitely have to look at before you invest. But I definitely love exploring virtual worlds because I really believe it's the next stage of interacting with each other. More intimate interactions, more realistic experiences, and we have a lot to see in terms of just how this world is going to progress in crypto. Anyway, guys, share this if you found value, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.